We're out here, chickadee chick. We're out here at Horatio's Gem Garden patio and bar, smoky bar, with the roses, and we got the bull roses over there. There's a couple in bloom. If we get permission of the Opal Group in there, the coyote skull with the dyes for eyes. And I've been feeding them patchouli through his nose holes, and that's Horatio's son, the gnomes. World War II figments of not imagination land, but tangible real life, says figments regardless, or totems in the very least respects. There was one in blooms that right there is little for now, but I mean, most of the bush is under the weather, and look at this one's spectacular. Once that blooms up, I'd love to snip it. It's got a nice straight stalk to it. Runs right up, and I'd snip it down there once it blooms if it's a decent flower head set. If it's a decent flower set. 1 minute now, so I'm gonna go ahead and crack open a cold one. In New England, they didn't eat clam chowder on the TV show. Why aren't they eating clam chowder on the TV show? He always says eat clam. Well, these hotel walls are cheap, and the couple's been known to try and only make it through the night. Says they're bound to win a prize. These hotel walls are cheap in New England. And then it sounds like something like the good, the bad, and the ugly, but with more of the Native America whistles to it. Says that. You ever heard that one? It's Duncan by Paul Simon. So I like Paul Simon a bit. So I can't run, but I can walk much faster. I can't run. Diamonds on the soles of the shoes. Walk, 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 walk. Well, people say she's crazy. She's got diamonds on the soles of the shoes now. He's walking blue. There we go. So my parrot, he was in the family 35 years, but he could have been 50 when my great grandmother bought him. So I was told. Said, and so he may have been 85 years and he passed away of old age. Maybe I'm gonna be drinking. I'm gonna be drinking a ham sit, a nipper coming out there. The little ditties in the last segment, that was It's All in the Family by Korn, on the Follow the Leader album 1998. I usually follow that up with Steely Dan. I kissed my sister, you know I love her better. I want it all, I want it all. Well, just don't think about it. You'll notice in show 95, there's no guitar. Well, Santana was playing the guitar. It's all in my ears now. I don't know if I can do my own thing after just going to the show so much. I know a guy. He joined the armed forces at some point. He's like 5 or 10 years older than me. Probably close to 5 years older than me. And he does tours to the Middle East. He's been like 5 times, and he goes for months on end. Every like a year or something. He's been like 4 or 5 times, and so I'll be entertaining him shortly, in person to person, which, if I had any speck of relationship with anyone for this darnest Tubes channel set, I'd be more than willing to be like, yeah, well, just send a comment, send a note to my mailbox. I'm moving in a month, so it's not like I'm looking to get any mail. I haven't gotten any donations to GoFundMe. I haven't gotten any friend requests on the book. I haven't gotten any comments on the tubes here. I've only got 6 subscribers, and I put out 95 shows. We're working on show 96, so no, I'm not gonna put any invitations to let's hang out or whatever. I'll peddle you some wares, and we'll go on a little New London style adventure. So I'll show you, take you a tour through the antique city. It's a 1776 founding city. The original 13 colonies of the very beginning of the USA. So George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson hang out in New London. No one cares, apparently. And if they do, I didn't get the memo. That they wanted me to be involved in any of that. So nothing to say, nothing to say. Do 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 do. I'm a smoking chimp, yeah, singing some ditties and I'm worked to the bone like a bear on a chain, like a slave, like a pet, not like a family pet, but like a show pet, that's worked to the bone for no wage, gets food, gets house, that's about it. I make jokes that, yeah, well, I'm 25% Native American, 38% Nordic. I turn red and black like Balthazar from Charmed or the Darth Maul from the freaking Star Wars. I'm not joking. Cherokee, Lenape, and Nordic. And those three is colored races. I'm 25% Scottish Caucasian and 12.5% non-Germanic Swiss. That's my white bread there. But the rest of it's like supposed to be fire engine red, brown that turns to red and black, or black or red, an engine red, and an engine sky black, not like mud, but like in the tan, like how I got in my freckles or what. But I don't know. It happens from time to time, and I'll get the blonde hair and the blue eyes, fire engine red skin with spotches of Native American black in it. You can still see my brown freckles or whatever, but and that happens time to time. It doesn't necessarily come with the full moon, but I'm not necessarily like chameleon, but the human chameleon from the Lenape. I got that in my pigment. It's a rare, yeah. No, many of those races are, most of the races are rare. Nordic, you can't find any information on in the States. The giant fire breathing, they're like dragon people with gold hair and blue eyes, They're like red, like super red, It's whatever. So in most of the segments, we're heading into season 4 now. So most of the segments I go over some PSAs I go over that I've been on meds for 4,100 days, 1 pill every 24 hours at the very least. And some of the side effects for meds include sudden death, heart attack, stroke, aneurysm, hemorrhages, seizures, etc. So, but I'll be done with that in a few months. So. I've been playing the guitar for 26 years. I'm not a guitarist. I don't know music theory. I'm not a musician, but I can go on the same old ditties on the same old 6-string. It's a 31-year-old guitar the Garcia family bought for me. So that when I was large enough to play, and before I was large enough to play, it was played by Keelan Garcia, Jerry's daughter, about my age. I talk about how I spent time with her and time with Buddy from the New Riders of the Purple Sage, Melvin Seals from the Jerry Garcia band. How I spent time focused to learning submarines from 1994 to 2003, riflery from 1997 to 2008, and time with a Native American medicine woman from 1990 to 2006. How Brent Midland held me in his arms. A lot of Grateful Dead-esque. It's not fan fiction. It's lore. When you look at Bears, the sound assistant, and how he had 1,000 employees on his own. You pick one that was there from '87 to '95, and what he did from '87 to 1990 in the 3/29/1990 Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York show Wake Up to Find Out, the Grateful Dead studio album, you're bound to find me. Or if you look at Albert Hoffman, the Swiss inventor of LSD 25, who worked for Sandoz in the 30s, you look at his family tree, you find his first cousin Phoebe, and you go down 3 parts, you'll find me. So my great grandmother spent 30 years, the first 30 years of Albert Hoffman's life, living in the same house pretty much as Albert Hoffman. Before he moved out, became a chemist. Before she got captured by Nazi Germany, they were like brother and sister. They were all in the same family. They were all in the same town, commune in Switzerland, being kids, you know, for the first 30 years. So 1908, she was born. He was born 1906. I think something like that. They were 2 years apart. Maybe she was born 1906 and he was born 1908. I don't know. Something similar to that. So, but she was his first cousin, and they lived in the same family, and they shared the same last name, and they could even share blood bags if they wanted to. They were so closely related. So I talk about the race and royalty. The royalty is like my family's prestigious careers. My granddad was an agent of the Federal Bureau of Investigation for 40 years. My grandpa was in the Navy for 50 years. Something like an admiral, something like a decorated, agent, at the Bureau. So they both shook hands with the president after the year 1990, after the year 2000, or during the year 2000. Clintons and Bush Jr. And they brought me along, and I shook hands with Chelsea, and I hugged and kissed with Pierce. We went on play dates every year while their parents were in the city or going to be around the city. We'd hang out. They weren't old enough to have any power when their parents were in power, so they needed something to do while they were traveling. And I had been living with a Native American medicine woman that was born in 1898. She was over 100 years of age, or pushing 100 years of age. And like I said, there was a nameless blood-tied family member, Sugar Ree, that would play bass with Jerry Garcia, do backup vocals for Brent Midland, and etc. So I was a sort of a born into Keelan, like a standby husband, like a life partner, like a devoted son. Of course, I have my own free will, and so does she. Is why we're not together now. So, but if her dad was still alive, we'd be attached to the hip. I probably have $1 billion, and what's half of hers would be mine if we ever got divorced. I think so, something similar to that, or the other way around. And if I wound up with misdemeanor, but instead, I devoted a half decade to emergency services when I rose from the bunker 20 floors below sea level, just after the attack on New York and Washington D.C. So, and then I got a hand injury shortly after I turned 18. But before that, ages 13 through 18, I was an explorer, PD, medic, and fire in the Tri-Town area, as well as Red Cross, BSA, Junior Navy, and Junior Coast Guard. Volunteer civil servant prepping for the military. I was going to be a defensive Navy SEAL or a submarine crew member in case the war escalated and really hit. Similar to how Nazi Germany took over Europe. We were thinking maybe the Middle East would try the same thing and really just push 1 million people on the States all at once. So it would have been a mass firefight or something. Things could have gone a lot worse. Things could. I'm going to button my lip. Because, like I said, the last segment was a 25-minute thing. So all throughout the 90s I was famous, and then I wound up escaping on a submarine from the attacks of the September 2000 ones, and lived in a bunker for a while next to a giant bomb and some Navy admirals and politicians and things. 2009 came around, and I spent a majority of the time in New Haven and New York City until about 2012. I was doing boxing, which I had been boxing since the age of 5. Bare knuckle street boxing, instant death was optional. I hasn't died from it yet, and I don't know how many has really gone to the ER, ICU by my first. But the mitts, the paws and things. Blue Films was the other one. I may have run into Piper Perry before she was an adult film star, quote unquote. She's a million billionaire star now, but beforehand she maybe that's when we allude to the dozen names. How many besides Piper Perry and Keelan Garcia? There's the Midland sisters, and we mentioned two of the president's daughters. Um, there was an old London exchange student that came over in 2002, 2003. We bonded over Harry Potter, and she decided to visit New London, New England. She became a lead actress in the three newest installments of Star Wars movie, the Star Wars, Daisy, right? And then there was I was a babysitter in 2006, and I'd go over to Rhode Island. There's hail to see, so that's where that whole thing stemmed from, in about 2006. And then there was when I needed a babysitter, mine was Paris Hilton and Amy Catron, because my great grandmother was filthy rich and worked in Manhattan for 50 years. So, and that's close to the dozen games. Around 2009, I was looking at music on iTunes, and I found the Yolande Wizard before she was a big thing, and I think we exchanged words, over the web. So what was another one? The only one I don't really have connection to on a team of 12 is Mackenzie Davis, but man, I had the hots for her when she was in control of the league until I felt really kind of scummy, because I think those love scenes were pretty gross. It was nice at first, and then it was like, kind of turned her off. But going along the lines, I can only find 11 out of 12. Even if I add both of the Midland sisters, and I can't really add both of the Bush Jr. sisters. I know Pierce was my friend for a while, but her sister not so much. So it's better to have a stranger on there that I can just log off. And the other one, I picked a Jamaican chick just recently, within this past month or so, Empress Sativa. I don't even remember her real name. I'm hoping her DOB is close between 1980 and 2000. She's born in 2001, I'll have to kick. She's born in 79, I'll have to kick. Just drop her off the list of the dozen names. So we went over part of my life story. I was rich and famous from birth until about 2002, and then 2003 I was a civil servant until I got head injury in 2008, and then I've been on medication from 2008 until next January. I think all of the crap's going to be out of my stream, and I'll have fertile sperm. Not that it isn't fertile now. It's just that the kid will come out with birth defects from the broilers. I think all the risperone's finally out of it, but the broilers is going strong. So it's been an hour and a half since broilers came out. Or lieutenant rather. Normally I'd say, no, I'm not even 30. I'm almost 30, but I'm not even 30. I look like I did when I was 13. When I was 13, I looked 17. When I was 17, I looked 17. Now I'm almost 30, and I look 17 or 13. So the last segment I was going on, I wound up saying, sedative. Yeah, why would he need a sedative? Well, he was a bodybuilder, ages 13 through 18, training for the military. He got accepted to the Army Rangers when the BSA Council put his application in for him without him knowing. And they said, sure, all he has to do is sign here. He didn't sign. They said, well, we just put it in, figuring, and if he wants to, if he gets accepted, then we can from right there. And I declined. I never signed the paper in, so I'm kind of kicking myself for that. And yes, because I would have made a hell of a sniper against the sand people. But, at the same time, back then, I said, that's not really my style. I want to do the submarine things. A bodybuilder, yeah. My leg press was 780 pounds. My overhead pull down was 1,000 pounds or 1,200 pounds. My free weight, and everything's still about the same. My free weight was 165 on the standing curl. My bench was 350, and now I have a waist size 28 on 6'1" and 150 pounds, and I can still, my strength hasn't really dropped down. It hasn't really dwindled. It's not like my muscles deteriorated or anything. I got built up ages 13 through 18, and I still got my free weight in there at 165, and I can keep the cardio going. I don't know if I can still run at 14 miles an hour, but I think I'm still just about as strong as I was, you know. Except for maybe the bench. You know, I haven't gotten into that. You know, I know at the gym they've got the 1260 overhead pull, and I can still crank that down like butter, plunk, 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 plunk. You know, and I got what 150 on the standing curl free weights, and it's like butter. You know, it's like way too easy. His muscle doesn't even until after a little while. When he starts to strain and sweat, you just kind of put it down. So I mentioned that. I mentioned I had like 5 different hair colors and 6 different iris colors because of my great grandmother, non-Germanic indigenous Swiss, also known as Aryan. I've got like 4 different skin colors because the pigment's just stuck, and I've got some kind of Lenape chameleon in me, so they do change. It's not just like a suntan that changes. It's like at sunset when there's the moon and certain lights and things, all of a sudden pitch black like the sky, you know, with no clouds and no stars. The stars would be my freckles. My hair goes blonde, and on my head too. My eyes will go blue, pitch black, and devil, demon, Satan red. And besides that, it's just brown or mostly white or pink. You know, look like a regular white dude most of the time with brown hair and hazel eyes, but on occasion, when I get in the right mood. And I think the meds prohibit a lot of the rare race, specialty powers. They're not like superhuman powers, but they're like from rare human races. So I talked about how the prestigious city. I went over some city in my pants and tank. Not really. Ooh, the chicks that drink Rockstar. Now I'm thinking dirty. Now, what do you guys got? I was thinking Fiandana with some old reggae singing in my pants and things, like bubblegum flavored underwear or something. No, doesn't drive. You never wash your panties in Rockstar? Neither way. I'm not even a girl. I've always been the dudes. Not the dudes, but I've been in, the male thing, with the boy parts. The 11-inch schlong when I was 17. I'm almost 30 now. Pair of duck eggs instead of large hen. Well, that and the bodybuilding thing isn't really the same at the same time. And then when you're on sedatives too, I'm looking forward to changing my script to like Cialis or something. I'm not old enough for Viagra. I think when you're 30s, you're eligible for some kind of male something. It's important. It's doctor stuff. If you don't like it, just turn your head. It's much too good for children anyway. It's important for children, but it's not allowed to be spoken about around the little people. I mean, not. You're an old person, but you're a little person, Harishimo. It's not like the children's that is this big can't really put. Ages 5 to 15 is not allowed, doctor stuff. Yeah, you try and go number 2, and all of a sudden your skin changes to red, and your hair changes to blonde. You're pushing, and that's your intestines. That's not your baby, because you're the bodybuilder at the same time, And you don't know. You never heard of that one? It's an old joke that we're in the old neighborhood. It's not really a fun. Most people just turn their heads. This is it's the time of the month. What makes me think of that one? The camp song. It's looks like rain. Yeah. I woke today. The covers were still warm where she was laying. Pray the storm to come. For sure it looks like rain. I woke today to the sound of stray cats making love. They're only trying to make it through the night. Well, my time will surely come again, and I'll still write you love songs written in the letters of your name. Make me hurt, run me round again and again and again. Blum, blah, da, da, da. Chickity chit, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1.